Howdy, howdy. We are live on a Friday night, the final Friday before the premiere of
Sounds
Star
scary.
Trek Starfleet. Yeah, it sounds like I'm talking about a Friday the 13th movie, right? That was the fourth one, like Jason dies or whatever. But no, the
Yeah.
final Friday before the premiere of the newest
Yes.
Star Trek show. So, in preparation for Star Trek Starfleet Academy, Joel and I are going to go on a little Starfleet history lesson. Or should I say, instructor Fathery and Cadet Joel.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
but looks like we already have people in the audience ready for us to go. So we're just going to get started and dive into some Starfleet Academy lore. I'm Fathery,
I'm Joel.
and this is Tex-Trek.
Engage.
Welcome back aboard the Starship Texas for the 361st installment of the Tex Trek podcast, the home of Star Trek fandom from deep in the heart of Texas, where we take a deep look at Star Trek, old and new. And tonight we are discussing the in-universe history and lore of Starfleet Academy before the new show arrives next week. So before we dive into that, just a bit of housekeeping per usual. I need to give a big thank you and huge shout out to the wonderful Tex-Trek Patreons who keep the Starship Texas flying, who keep our live show going, and who have been sustaining the show for, this is our 10th year. This is the 60th year
Oh, yeah.
of Star Trek, but it'll be the 10th anniversary of Tex-Trek this year in
Been here since the
2026. So
50th. Wow.
yeah. So, but thank you so very much, Starfleet Sohel, Cake is Eternal, Crazy Dutchy, Joanne Robertson, John Dot, Geek Filter, Quarkspar, Matthew Averett, Braxton, Chuck A, Joel Vallis, Arthur Lamoureux, our associate producer Chris Garris, Dave Farabee, Dave A. Gregory, Wanda Valentine, Rin, Corrine, Victor, and our anonymous supporters. I want to let everyone know we will have our monthly Patreon watch party open to all of our patrons on Saturday, January 17th. And that'll be right after the premiere of Starfleet Academy on the 15th. To kind of tie into that, we're going to watch the Discovery episode that was kind of the backdoor pilot for Academy. I think is probably fair to conclude. But all is possible. The season 4 episode with Tilly taking the cadets on a field trip. It doesn't work out too well, but they're all okay in the end. Spoilers. But yeah, all is possible. January 17th, open to all our patrons. And I also want to let people know that Taylor and I are reworking some of the Tex Trek Patreon perks for the new year, and we'll be announcing that later this month. So there's also a bit of Trek news, I guess. Speaking of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, they just did the red carpet premiere. Was that last
Blue
night or the night
carpet.
before?
2 nights ago, I believe.
2 nights ago. Yeah, okay, that sounds right.
I watched.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Joel?
It was fun. And Celia is a pretty amazing host, I have to say. She really kicked ass at that job.
She took over
So
Mika
excited
Burton's
and-
job.
And yeah, she was really good, and it was great to see everyone in there. And everyone, they all went out. I mean, Tawny even looked like a model. I mean, she always looks good, but I mean, I was just like, wow. It's very impressive overall.
But yeah, there's reactions to Starfleet Academy hitting the internets currently. I think my read on it is it tends to be people who, if you've enjoyed modern Trek, then you're going to enjoy Starfleet Academy, and if you don't like modern Trek, you're not going to like Starfleet Academy. That's my conclusion based on the reactions we are seeing. But yeah, just want also to bring up the fact last week on the show, we did something a little different. Typically, we do these episodes where we talk about a new season of a show, or even like the first season of a show, and we talk about some of the things we hope to see in it, or the things we hope that we don't see in it. And we weren't able to spend that much time talking about that last week because CBS News, also owned by Paramount Skydance like Star Trek, they decided to pull the 60-minute segment that was going to air on CCOT, the El Salvadorian concentration camp that the United States and ICE has been illegally deporting people to. And so we talked a lot about that last week, and I just have to say that, it's been really a hell of a week, Joel. It was something I said Friday night last week. I said, we're not even at war with Venezuela, and then I wake up Saturday morning to the news that we're bombing their capital and killing at least 80 people in their country and abducting their president. And so I was like, well, that's pretty damn bad. And then I was like, well, I guess I should mention that on the next show, just kind of in reaction. And then before we could even go live again, before we made it here to the next Friday, then I started shooting innocent women in the street, and in addition to still probably sending people to the wrong countries, and who the hell knows what else. This is just like the stuff that we hear about. So, that's up in your hometown, Joel, up in Minneapolis. But the tragic news this week.
Known for such abuses, of course, but still, absolutely awful.
I mean, yeah, just though I could take a moment to acknowledge Renee Good and some of the horrendous crimes taking place right now. It's like we really need to think about how we get out of this. It's it's not something I don't think this is something like we can avoid talking about. So that's just want to remind people that I shouldn't surprise anyone. I'm disappointed with how CBS News is actually doing some of the reporting on this, and just to remind people that next week Starfleet Academy premieres, and Rachel will be doing the first reaction streams on Thursdays. I'm looking forward to seeing the usual gang show up over there to talk about these new episodes of Star Trek. But on Fridays, Taylor and I will be doing a slightly different version of the deep dive discussion, where we will talk about the new episode of Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, but we will also talk about a problem that we're having with Paramount, who is doing everything they can to be the pro-MAGA media company and appease our fascist asshole piece of shit pedophile President Donald Trump. So, but sorry for bringing the mood down, y'all. But
I don't think. Well, you didn't do it, but.
No, it's something like I don't think we should ignore. So, if people don't like Father's hot political rants and my lefty messaging, it's like, I'm sorry, y'all are just brace yourselves. Y'all are about to get more of it, a higher quotient of it in Tex-Trek content than you've ever seen before. So, and speaking of which, Joel, you were there, but earlier this week, we premiered our other show, Taylor and I, The Other Star Franchise, where we talk about the Other Star Franchise.
Yes, it was fun.
Guess what?
I watch a lot of other Star franchises.
Well, there's a lot of anti-imperial messaging. That's that was kind of the point from the very beginning in 1977. So.
Yep, the Ewoks were always the Viet Cong.
Yeah, no, they're they're teddy bear Antifa
with the best tactics
badasses
in the franchise. I've seen people write big dissertations about it. It's like, yeah, the Ewoks knew what was up. Well, the Empire and the Rebels kind of suck at tactics, but Ewoks, they'll smash you.
Hashtag Empire is for bootlicker. I can never say it. I want that to be like the catchphrase for that show, but I can't say it on air. The Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel. So maybe one day I'll learn how to say that. But yes,
awkward. Ickers to be is awkward.
Just to remind people, we did a stream of that actually on the Tex-Trek YouTube channel. But going forward, you can only find the Other Star franchise content on the other Star franchise YouTube channel. So please subscribe over there.
Indeed.
And I think we can go ahead and move into our main topic of Starfleet Academy lore. So I'm going to be the history professor here, giving y'all a lesson on Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
Joel, you can be the student in the scenario, Cadet Joel.
You mean? Yeah.
So, Cadet Joel, do you know when was the first time Starfleet Academy was ever mentioned in Star Trek?
Sir, let me, let me think. I assume TOS, but it could be wrong.
It was mentioned a couple times in TOS.
But not early, I assume.
Well,
not
they
first
mention
season.
they mention an academy before they ever mention the word Starfleet.
Because at first that was not what they were calling stuff.
But the first mention of the academy goes all the way back to the second pilot, where No Man Has Gone Before. It came from Gary Mitchell.
Yeah.
When Gary Mitchell's in sickbay and he tells Kirk, "Well, I'm getting a chance to read some of that long hair stuff you like." Which, like, yeah, people were still going to be saying long hair, like, outside of the 60s. But yeah, he goes
eternal.
It's like almost like after they wrote that line, they were probably like, yeah, we should. It's kind of funny, like, today, you know, people talk about, like, they use so much modern lingo in modern Star Trek. But in 1964, well, where No Man Has Gone Before was 65, right? So in 1965, they were writing
They weren't worried about that yet.
Long hair. The
didn't
long
have a
hair
series.
stuff you like.
Yeah.
But he goes on to say, "Hey man, I remember you back at the academy, a stack of book with legs," which everyone remembers that about
That
Kirk.
part, but yeah.
No one remembers the sentence after that when he says, "The first thing I ever heard from an upperclassman was, watch out for Lieutenant Kirk. In his class, you either think or you sink." So that's interesting. Kirk, as a lieutenant, was teaching at the academy.
Yes.
A lot of people overlook that.
They don't touch on that really again.
Yeah, it's kind of ignored a lot, but that is the first mention of the academy, and then we get the word Starfleet first mentioned in the Menagerie Part 1.
Yeah.
But they do actually say the word Starfleet Academy together in the Ultimate Computer and also
Yeah, later. Okay.
The Way to Eden, because in the Way to Eden, it's like when Chekhov sees one of the space hippies. It's like, "Oh, that's my old girlfriend from the academy," and Kirk is like, "You mean one of those things got into the academy?" He's like shocked. I really like The Way to Eden. A lot of people give that episode a lot of hate, but I don't know. I think the space hippies are fun.
Yeah, I think I'm a Herbert, but I still like the episode. But
I'm definitely a Herbert at times, but yeah, I can still reach.
oh yes, brother.
They actually also call it the Space Academy in Bread and Circuses, the Roman planet episode where everyone still lives like they're in the Roman Empire. Because in that episode, there was that dude, Captain Merrick, who was dropped from the academy, and he was really bitter that he never got to command a Starfleet starship. He only ever commanded a Federation Merchant Marine survey vessel, which led him to go be an asshole on that planet and kill people. And he's like, he wasn't a bad admiral. He was a badton. What do you call a bad?
He didn't
captain?
even make it to bad admiral. Yeah.
He didn't even make it to captain. Like he got dropped from the academy.
I don't know.
Oh, and then but just talking about like the academy mentions in the original series, the animated series, and the movies. They do call it the Starfleet Space Academy in Mudd's Passion when they go to try to arrest Harry Mudd.
Okay. I thought it was in TAS at least once.
But the thing I want to point out about the mention of Starfleet Academy in the Ultimate Computer is that's when we get the Dunsel thing. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, tell the class what a Dunsel is.
It's
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oh, my computer is talking to me.
Oh my God. Well, that's very funny that we're talking about that episode and then a rogue AI chimes in. But a Dunsel was Like someone who's been made useless. I might be slightly wrong, but but it's probably. I think it was a little more specific in the episode, but I'm hazy. I'm gonna flunk this pop quiz.
Well, it's very relevant to today when they developed
Yeah.
an AI that could take over the duties of a starship captain.
Yeah.
And then Kirk is called Captain Dunsel, and Spock explains, Dunsel Doctor is a term used by midshipmen at Starfleet Academy. It refers to a part which serves no useful purpose. So yeah, it's like when something's become redundant and no longer useful. It just takes up space, I guess. Why I point that out is because they use the term midshipman at Starfleet Academy. So it does seem like sometimes you can call people enrolled at the academy cadets or midshipmen.
Yeah.
It's something that they use in The Wrath of Khan.
In modern times, that's a rank. I'm hazy on all that, but
No, I don't think it's.
No?
I mean, it would be a non-commissioned thing, but
yeah, I don't remember.
But yeah, it seems to be like the cadets who are training in the Wrath of Khan. They're called midshipmen at times. Like Preston was a midshipman first class.
Yeah.
But they talk about those kids in engineering, like when Scotty's like when the trainees ran, he stayed at his post. So it sounds like they were still undergoing academy or they might have all been enlisted personnel and not officers. So. More on that subject in a minute.
Like Uhura on Strange New Worlds. They're in the academy, but they're having training on ships and stuff.
Yeah, they're like interning, basically.
Which makes sense that you would do that. I mean, real world experience and all.
And I guess we don't really learn in TOS or TAS or the movies that Starfleet Academy is based in San Francisco Bay, but we know Starfleet headquarters are there in from the motion picture. We see that
and
for the
we
first
learned
time.
Sulu was born there. So
Well, yeah, we learned that in the voyage home. It's a crazy thing, Joel. I'm trying to figure out which side of the Golden Gate Bridge the HQ is on and which side the Academy is on, and they both change sides. Like sometimes it looks like one is on the north, one's on the south. A lot of times they're both on the south. A lot of times they're both on the north. So, but
it makes sense because later it just becomes a ship that can move wherever it wants on either side of the bay.
Right. Yeah, that's what we're building up to eventually. But in the motion picture, we get like that shot of Starfleet HQ by the bridge. And then there's actually like a reverse shot across from that, which, that's when you see the shuttle bay in the motion picture after Kirk's little tram lands and you have like that shot looking back out on the bridge where he came from. To me, that looks like it's facing the north side of the bridge, which is what we see a lot of in Discovery and Strange New Worlds and a lot of the modern Trek stuff. So I guess I like to think that at the TOS time, the Strange New Worlds time, you have the Starfleet HQ is south of the Golden Gate Bridge, and then north of it is where the Academy is. Because that seems to be where it's going to be in the show Starfleet Academy. It's on like that north side of the bridge.
It looks like it from the images we've seen.
But I mean, that's pretty much all the Academy lore we get in the original series. It's a cool thing to like have in the backstory because a lot of times Kirk can be like, "Oh yeah, I know about Professor Corby. Oh yeah, I know about Garth of Izar. Oh yeah, I know about the Klingon General Cord. I learned about all these guys at the Academy." So it's a good exposition tool for the writers.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to me, though, that Kirk spent some time teaching, and he became friends with Gary Mitchell, who it sounded like was a student of his. And they also mention, Joel, can you tell the class the episode Court Martial? Do you remember what happened? What was Captain Kirk put on trial for in the episode Court Martial?
For ejecting the pod prematurely when somebody was in it.
Yeah.
Which you might have to do, but there was no reason to do that. So,
but it was a
thus
commander.
Killing someone.
But he didn't die. He faked it.
I know, but
to get revenge.
That's what he's put on trial for, killing him. But
that was
true.
Commander Finney, who used to be before he had a falling out with Kirk. They were really good friends, And
He knew a lot of people starting with Finn in the academy, didn't he?
yeah, he knew Finnegan and he knew Finney.
Yeah.
But Finney instructed Kirk. And so I think that's kind of interesting. Like, oh yeah, Kirk became friends with Gary Mitchell, who it sounded like was a student. Like at some point, Kirk was instructing something. I don't know if it was a course. I don't know if it was just like a one-time lecture or what. But and then they had Finney teach Kirk. So kind of similar backstories for both of them. I guess they were like, oh, we can't have Kirk's Starfleet friend be his student at the academy again. We'll have to change it a little bit this time. We'll just make Kirk his student.
There you go. Yeah.
But I'm glad
Maybe
you
he's
mentioned
just grading papers or something. I don't know.
I'm glad you mentioned Finnegan though, because yeah, that idea of like, people like to think of like Kirk was kind of like started off as like this nerd, and stack a book with legs would certainly sound like a kind of a nerdy guy, or like an egghead, real brainy, but maybe not much else. He's just he's just all this information with legs, and that's kind of his whole identity. And Finnegan we see was his bully, like
Yeah.
it seems like more like a high school bully. Like I know like they're supposed to be in college, but
Yeah, he does come off that way.
But yeah, I should have added a slide in here of Finnegan. I messed that up, but oh well. But yeah, other than that though, not too much about the Academy in any of the TOS, TAS, or any of those movies. The Kelvin movies spend a lot of time there, and we see Kirk and Spock, hanging out at the Academy and the Wrath of Khan. Like I assume that's where that Kobayashi Maru simulator on Earth is all at Starfleet HQ, and
I always thought so.
we're all at the Academy grounds. And I guess the interesting thing about that is you see the Enterprise used as a training ship. So we know in the new show Starfleet Academy we get the USS Athena, but the idea of having like a training ship goes back to TOS. We learn about Pike's more about him in a moment, but his radiation injury that was on an old Class J training ship. And there's some other ships that we see used for cadet purposes, so it makes sense that this Academy show would want to do that. After all, it is Star Trek, it's not Earth Trek. You need to be able to get out in space.
Yeah.
I don't know, Joel, any questions, comments, or any things I might have forgot about the Starfleet Academy depictions or information from the TOS era? There's a lot more in the Next Generation. A lot more.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. I was going to say, yeah, the Kobayashi Maru, that was like the thing I thought of before you mentioned it. And I was like, but you got that, so. And yeah, it's because then up through generations, it's just a lot of trainees and stuff. But yeah, I think we covered it all.
I guess the Kobayashi Maru being established in the Wrath of Khan is kind of a big deal. It's the first time we see that these very dramatic tests that that Starfleet likes to put its personnel through.
I guess you could be a theater minor at Starfleet Academy and help make these things, I guess.
Yeah,
and participate in
they
them.
have like a team of
Just
actors.
like McCoy seems like he was all for it.
And the actors in Coming of Age and the Next Generation, like they're the way that they kind of like they nod to Wes at the end of their performance.
Yeah.
Almost as if they're like an actor on stage taking a bow.
Like, good job. Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing about that is it doesn't stop when you graduate the Academy, because Saavik is a lieutenant in Wrath of Khan, right? Like she's
Yes.
a graduate.
Yeah, so maybe it's something you go back to the Academy after you're no longer an ensign.
Or she's doing some kind of like specialized command training.
I'm
under
not sure.
Spock.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe she was pure science before.
But I guess not everyone takes the
don't
Kobayashi Maru at the Academy, or I don't know.
Some use the home game. I don't know.
There's another Star Trek character, another Starfleet officer we're going to get to, who did not go to the Academy, but took the Kobayashi Maru at some point. So we'll talk about that in a second. But let's move on to TNG. I feel like we've exhausted all the TOS era. But TNG, the Academy becomes mentioned way more frequently immediately
Yep,
in season
because
one.
of Wes. Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the regular characters is trying to get into the Academy. So, but in season one, just a couple weeks ago, Taylor and I discussed the episode "Coming of Age" with Rachel when we see the Starfleet Academy entrance exam, including the psych test.
Yeah. They test everything. And, yeah. You think they just have a bigger academy if there's that many people who want to... I don't know.
The entrance process is also whack in that episode.
Yeah, the per sector or planet thing?
They don't really explain it, but they're just
No,
like...
of course they don't.
They're on this planet Relva 7 in the TNG episode Coming of Age, and they're just like, we're going to test 4 kids, but only one of you will get into the Academy. And it's like, why? Just what if they all have good scores? Just send them all.
Yeah.
Or what if they all have terrible scores? Don't send the best one, send none of them. Like, isn't that how an entrance exam should work?
Yeah, I don't know. You think that, yeah. Hopefully the new show will explain all this in detail, but it's probably different in the 32nd century. So.
Yeah, so
No.
I'm hoping that the entrance process in Starfleet Academy, if they ever talk about the application process and like being screened to get in, or however the hell that works, I'm fine if they don't really go into that. It's like, well, all these kids made it here. So
it's pretty dry,
but if they do have to go into that, I hope it makes more sense than what we got in TNG. But Wes spends a couple seasons on the Enterprise doing duties on the ship that I guess give him Academy credit for when he will eventually be into the
it's
Academy.
like going to a junior college for your generals or something, and then he has to take less at the Academy. I don't know.
That the psych test that we see in Coming of Age, though, it is another Kobayashi Maru thing like we were talking about. You have like actors involved. You basically have like Wesley Crusher forced to be like, oh, it looks like both these people are going to die, and you have to choose which one to save. Very traumatic because Picard had to do that with his father, and that's why he doesn't have a dad at home anymore. But the messed up part about that is they don't tell this 15-year-old. They don't tell him like, oh, this is all fake. Like he thinks like these people are actually in danger. So it is
because he starts in just a different room with nothing in it, and he hears an alarm outside of it, and he has to leave, and then so it's all so bizarre. And I think you guys discussed it on that episode discussion, but it's like, does he have to take it again? I hope not. It's so bizarre. It's like, okay, I've taken it 4 times. Now my 5th fear should be easy to get over, and I don't know.
But it does seem to be a recurring thing. There's also like that short trek with the woman told that her husband's gonna get blown up by Tholians if she doesn't free prisoner Pike. So, Starfleet seems to play these psychological games. I think it's just kind of underwritten stories that you wanted to have like big dramatic stakes, but I think it would be kind of cool if Starfleet Academy found a way to do that made sense and didn't seem like cruel and unusual and was I don't know, but like some type of like psychological evaluation. Oh, because speaking of the TOS stuff, I should bring this up, but the Captain Merrick guy from Bread and Circuses who got dropped from the Academy, that was because he failed a psycho simulator test, whatever a psycho simulator is. So maybe that was psych test related.
It's either worse or not as worse. Sounds worse to me.
Psycho simulator, yeah. I don't know what that would be. But
there's a storyline for Academy. I hope they go into psycho simulators. And in the 32nd century, there'd be even more simulatory. Psycho simulacra. There you go.
There's also the Psycho tricorder from the original series. It was kind of like a lie detector. And then they just forget that technology exists going forward.
It itched. They couldn't use it anymore. Oh. Yeah, I had to stop.
But yeah, Wes has kind of a weird trajectory. It's almost as if he was like a character on a TV show and the writers weren't sure how long this kid was going to stick around or if they wanted to write him off and make him a recurring character or what they wanted to do. But it's like he applies to the Academy a couple times and then like it's like, oh, well, you can just start doing work on the Enterprise to get credit for the Academy. And then like your mom leaves and you stay on the ship and then your mom comes back and you stay on the ship. And eventually they're like, oh, in season 3 in Menage a Troy, they're like, okay, Wes is going to go off on the USS Bradbury to take his oral exams and get into the Academy for real this time. But he missed his flight. He didn't get on board in time. And so now Captain Picard is just like, you know what? I'm just going to give you a field commission and make you an ensign right now. And you just get to wear a real Starfleet uniform and be an ensign on my ship, which seems pretty cool. But then like 11 episodes later, he in final mission, right? He goes to Earth to go to the Academy for real because they're like, we're gonna move Will Wheaton from a regular to a recurring character.
Yeah.
So that was all kind of unusual.
Convoluted, yeah.
Yeah. But so the cool thing about that episode, though, final mission, when Wes is on his way to, well, okay, before final mission. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before final mission. There is the... Sorry, no, that was after. Okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. I'm not being a great instructor right now, but that's okay. Moving on. So, in final mission, when their shuttle crashes and Picard thinks he's dying in that cave, because, you know, Star Trek, of course, they end up in caves.
They're all drama queens. Yeah.
Did you remember, Joel? This is the first time we get a mention of Boothby.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I forgot what episode it was in, but now that you say that, but yeah, he talks about him before we see him later. Yeah.
Twice, but the first time is in Final
okay,
Mission when Picard is dying in the cave, or he thinks he's dying, and he tells Wesley, "There's so much I wanted to tell you. The Academy, there's someone who meant a great deal to me. He's been there forever. Someone you must get to know. His name is Boothby. Now you tell him that you and I were friends. Now, when I was there, he helped me. Listen to him." And then Wesley asks, what does he teach? And Picard says, he's the groundskeeper, one of the wisest men I ever knew.
He teaches life, kid. Life.
But I do love that. I love that, you know, one of the wisest mentors of Starfleet. It wasn't one of these professors. It was the salt of the earth gardener.
Yeah. No, they really set him up really well. And then, of course, it paid off because he lived up to it.
Yeah, he's mentioned again in the episode of The Game. That's the first time Wesley comes back to visit the Enterprise after he's already started school at the Academy. Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, okay, before you got to be an ensign on the Enterprise, and now, like, you're back, you're just like a first-year Academy cadet. It's like, you shouldn't have gone, Wes. You should have just stayed here.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, now he gets to have that cutesy romance with Ashley Judd, so good for him, I guess.
Yeah, he gets that.
But in that episode, when Wes comes back to visit, it's like, you know, he's coming home from college to visit family. Picard asks him about Boothby, and Wes is like, oh yeah, I did meet the gardener. And that's also like, Picard starts talking to him in Latin. It's like, man, like, is that like day one at Starfleet Academy, you learn how to become fluent in Latin?
Yeah, it's actually 8-year school. The first 4 are Latin and Shakespeare only, and then...
No. Well, that's the joke I make, that, you know,
basically.
Every Starfleet
memorize
cadet,
everything.
Yeah, every Star Trek character seems to be able to quote Shakespeare and Moby Dick and just like any literature, the story, you know, Edison, what the hell ever.
Yeah.
It's like they've read every book, every poem.
They're well-rounded then. It works, yeah.
But of course, we see the Academy and Boothby after, you know, talking about it multiple times throughout TNG. Finally, in season 5, the first duty, we just covered that also a couple weeks ago on Tex-Trek. We did a backtracking retrospective on the first duty, one of my all-time favorite episodes of Star Trek. But just talking about its, you know, what we learned about the Academy in it.
Yeah.
It is the first time we get the Japanese gardens at the Tillman Reclamation Plant used for the Academy grounds. They'd previously
Yeah.
used that for Justice, and it wasn't new to Star Trek, but it was new for the Academy.
They made it look different. You could see it once you know, but yeah.
But we also learn about they have like these like elite squads, like Nova Squad, and we see there's a Superintendent Brand. So throughout time they mention things like commandants, right? Like in season 1 of TNG, the admiral in the episode I was just talking about, coming of age, asks Picard to become the commandant at Starfleet
Yes.
Academy. And actually, in that weird Riker episode, Future Imperfect, where he lives out that life on a holodeck with a little alien orphan boy who wants Riker to be his dad really bad, so he creates like
Yes.
this whole fantasy life where it's in the future and Riker has a kid and he's captain of the Enterprise. In that reality, Picard did serve as commandant at the Academy. But we don't really know what a commandant is. When we actually go to the Academy in the first duty, there's a superintendent who seems to be the chief administrator.
And then it's all over for what they call them. I'm not sure. Maybe they pick their title when they get the job. I don't know.
But we eventually get like another title. But staying on the first duty, that episode not only does it give us the what the Academy looks like, and we get to meet people like Nova Squad and Superintendent Brand, and we also get the first time we see the Starfleet Academy logo designed by the great Maiko Kuda.
It's a great one. Yeah.
We were talking about Latin. The Latin originally on the logo said Ex Astra Scientia. They had to correct that because I guess the grammar is wrong in there. But Joel, do you know what that means translated to
I think
English?
that one is to the stars through science or learning.
That's
I
close.
I took Latin a little bit, but I do not remember the case endings enough to tell you if that's correct. The endings, but it's like ex astra per aspera, which is what they talk about later. To the stars through hardship. So
Yeah. People in the live audience, they noticed my bling. I have a ring on my hand that Taylor got me for Christmas. That actually it says it has the words a little different. It says per aspera ad astra instead of ad astra per aspera. But yeah, that one does mean to the stars through hardship, or through hardship to the stars.
Yeah.
But
the thing about Latin is you can rearrange the words however you want. Word order isn't really important. So you
but
can do it.
Maiko Kuda, he's also a bit of a military nerd. He got Ex Astra Scientia from the stars knowledge. He took that from the real life United States Naval Academy. Their motto is Ex Scientia Tridens, which means from knowledge sea power, which is it's kind of aggro though. It's kind of
Yeah, it is.
we need to dominate the sea. So I like the Starfleet version being more, I don't want to say softer, but just more knowledge is a higher priority than power. That's more Starfleet value. So, but yeah, the logo also gives the year 2261, which I think this is kind of when it established for a lot of us that okay, the Federation must have began around 2261 then. That's probably when Starfleet began and when Starfleet Academy began. And, that almost works as a perfect year to explain when the Academy began, 2261, except for something in Enterprise that messes that up we'll get to when we talk about Star Trek Enterprise. But
What would be Star Trek if, dates were
if there wasn't
hazy.
If the continuity wasn't just almost perfect,
I
then
blame the
there's
Romulans
one or two
and their
things.
time travel, right? They screwed it up. It used to be 2261, and then
But I think I have a headcanon explanation for when we get to that. But just keep that in mind that originally we were all under the impression the Academy was founded in 2261 because that's what they put on their logo, and why the hell else would you put that unless that's the year you began? But I think the only other thing I have from the Next Generation to mention, though, is what we learn about the Academy in the episode The Drumhead. Remember Simon Tarsus?
yes.
What can you tell the class about Simon Tarsus, Joel?
Well, he has that secret, but but about the academy,
Well, just about him in
did-
general, like what we saw in that episode.
he did very well at the academy, I think, and then he's not all human, and then
Yeah, it turned out he had a Romulan grandfather, but he lied when he took his academy entrance. I guess when he did his application, he said that his grandfather was a Vulcan. But the reason why I mention him is because he ended up washing out of the academy, but then he went to the NCO training and came back in as enlisted personnel. So,
I forgot about that now. It's been a while since I watched that.
but this is
So
important.
he's a non-com then,
Yes, but it's
which is very hazy about how that works because they're never laid out.
it is, and then lower decks makes that complicated too. But like in real life military,
yeah. There's rules.
Yeah.
And
you have officers, and then you have like enlisted personnel or non-commissioned officers or non-coms, which is what O'Brien is, and they actually DS9 does it better than everyone else, but still kind of goofs up with it. The reason why I bring him up, though, is because he establishes that Starfleet Academy is for officers, and then enlisted personnel go to a different training program. The way that it is worded in the drumhead is they say the Academy's training program for enlisted personnel. But that's going to be relevant to Deep Space Nine when we talk about the Academy in Deep Space Nine. Joel, you probably remember who the big cadet of Deep Space Nine is. It's Jake, right? Like the captain's son, like this main character kid. Like he's gonna be the next Wesley. He's gonna be the next like Starfleet prodigy. Like that's the obvious thing to do with the show, right?
that would be the obvious thing to do, but of course, Deep Space Nine does better.
Yeah, but in season 2 of Deep Space Nine, I think people forget about this because it's so brief. But there is a storyline of Jake doing the Wesley stuff of kind of
What makes
preparing.
sense
He's preparing to get his acceptance into the academy, like he's about to apply, or that's what his dad thinks, anyways.
which makes sense that Cisco would have his son study that stuff.
I was so glad with Deep Space Nine that they kind of break that formula, though. Just like my dad was in Starfleet, so I'm gonna go be in Starfleet too. Like Geordi had Starfleet parents. Like we eventually learned from the Kelvin timeline that Kirk had a Starfleet dad. It's like it doesn't always have to be a generational thing. Like I know like the Sulus did that. It's very common, but not necessary.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that many people. I guess I know some people who, they copy what their parents do, but most people tend to have a different career than their kids. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are military families like that.
Yeah, military families are definitely a thing.
But, yeah.
But instead, we got a much better, I think, in my opinion, much better cadet storyline in Deep Space Nine with Nog. And
Yes.
I guess that starts in season 3, but there's that great scene when Nog is like explaining to Cisco why it's so important for him to join the academy, and we get to see what it's like for a citizen of a non-Federation member world to join the academy.
Yes. He's got to be recommended. I don't know if it's still like this, but I remember my uncle saying he was thinking of going to West Point, and you had to have a senator give you a recommendation letter to get into West Point in the 60s.
Yeah. I don't think that's the only way, but that is I've heard of that. I've heard of that with like
he's like, you have to do these other things besides just submit applications.
But yeah, so Starfleet Academy does seem to be like a much bigger catch-all than like our these academies that we have like in our military
the Air Force
in
or West
real
Point
life.
and the Naval.
Because most people who are officers, don't go to the academy. They went to college somewhere else, or they came into the service as enlisted and then they took the classes or whatever and transferred into being an officer. But yeah, the journey of Nog getting into the academy, like we actually spend a lot of time. If you go back and look at it in Deep Space Nine, they spend a lot of time with him, like practicing for his entrance exam. So those entrance exams come up a lot. It was a big deal for Wes. It was a big deal for Nog, and it also comes up in Voyager again. So I'm wondering if they'll talk more in the Academy show. Is that a thing that continues in the 32nd century of just like these these entrance exams that seem to take like months of testing and preparation.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the cadets in the new show will be like, yeah, my parents made me take all these pre-tests and train for, like you hear people doing for trying to get into Ivy League schools, and just like they hired tutors, and it'll be interesting.
We had a Nova Squad in TNG. Joel, do you remember the elite students in Deep Space Nine? What their squad was called?
Oh, good God, I'm gonna forget. It's really very.
It's a
similar.
color. It's a color.
Red Squad.
Red Squad. Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So Red Squad is first mentioned when Nog is telling Cisco about it in Homefront and Paradise Lost, that two-parter on Earth in season 4. Nog says it's an elite squad of cadets at the Academy. You know, the best of the best. They get special classes, simulated missions, off-campus training sessions, all kinds of things. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
The Badmiral in that episode, Leighton, he also uses this elite squad of cadets, Red Squad, to knock out the power grid to cover his tracks and what he was doing with his coup attempt on Earth. He was trying to put Earth under military occupation to secure it from changelings. And so that's another interesting story possibility for the Starfleet Academy. I don't know if I necessarily need like a Badmiral right now, you know, when this new Starfleet is supposed to be getting its act together. But you know, what if there are nefarious actors who might try to use cadets for ill purposes?
Yeah, especially since bringing the Academy back is new. So
yeah,
there'll be people against that. Maybe people on Earth who are new to being back in the Federation. And, yeah, you have a lot of story possibilities.
And Nog's Starfleet career is interesting. You know, we never get to see Wes finish Starfleet Academy. He ends up dropping out. And Nog spends his sophomore year back on the station in what they call the Field Studies program. And it's kind of like, you know, what we see with Uhura, Cadet Uhura in season 1 of Strange New Worlds, where she's bouncing around the different departments. But Nog's kind of doing a bit of that until the war starts, and then he gets his field commission to ensign. At the end of the war, they make him like a full lieutenant. So I guess he only did like 2 years of academy school. And like the second year, he spent interning on the station. So really only his freshman year was he at the academy.
Well, yeah, wars will do that. Kind of makes sense.
But we get to see a lot of Red Squad again in Deep Space Nine in the episode The Valiant, when we see a ship fighting war that was like ran by cadets. You know, they were accidentally left behind enemy lines, and they've been trying to carry out this mission against the Dominion, and I don't know, it doesn't work out too well for them, but. It seems like between Nova Squad and then Red Squadron, these elite cadet groups are not a good idea. They don't seem to end well, ever.
Yes.
It's like...
because in Red Squad, too, then they're, like, behind enemy lines, abusing stimulants, and, like, that... Yeah, it doesn't go well. But like they did not perform any dangerous maneuvers with, you know, small shuttles.
That's true. No Culvert Starburst with Red Squad.
Well, maybe they needed that, but
their entire ship blows up in a big burst instead.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting factoid we get in Deep Space Nine about the Academy in the beloved episode Trials and Tribulations, when they go back in time to the Trouble with Tribbles. There's that scene in the turbo lift when Julian is trying to do the mental gymnastics to justify trying to bang his grandma. It's a very weird scene. But he says to O'Brien he thinks he might be destined to go back in time and be his own ancestor. And if he doesn't have sex with this woman, he might not exist. And he tells Miles, "Come on, Chief. Surely you took elementary temporal mechanics at the Academy." Which doesn't make any sense, because in Starship Down, Miles tells Worf that Muniz and the rest of the team of engineers working in that episode, like, he tells Worf, you know, they're not officers. They have not been to Starfleet Academy. Yeah. So the Tarsus line that we got in TNG, when Simon Tarsus talks about going to the enlisted personnel training program. We know that that's not part of Starfleet Academy. So why does Dr. Bashir think that O'Brien went to the Academy?
Because he's thinking about banging people and he doesn't remember anything else because he's sometimes a sex pest.
Ron Moore had suggested maybe that they train at Starfleet Academy, but
In a different
it contradicts
kind of thing.
but it contradicts
yeah,
O'Brien's line to Worf. There is a fix for this coming up.
okay.
So I just say all of this to let y'all know that it's going to get straightened out. Keep paying attention to this history lesson. We're going to get
We
there.
will iron it out.
I don't have much else about the Academy in Deep Space Nine, other than I'll say I think Nog is probably my favorite cadet storyline we've gotten so far. Maybe these new kids in the Academy show will surprise me.
They're all starting with 2 legs. It looks like so far. So
Hopefully
similar so far.
hopefully they hold on to them.
Yeah, it's not good if you lose one.
Well, let's move on to Voyager. Star Trek Voyager opens with Harry Kilm talking about being fresh out of the Academy. He tells Quark, they warned us about you Ferengi trying to hustle us at the Academy. And then Quark is like, that's really racist. And then Harry Kilm's like, you're right, I'll buy all this merch. and then Tom is like, oh, he actually was ripping you off. But yeah, in Voyager, they mention the Academy a lot. It's not all Starfleet on that ship. There's a lot of Maquis personnel. Joel, can you tell the class who were any of the Maquis personnel in Voyager who also studied at the Academy? There's 2 prominent ones.
Well, yeah, Chakotay and Torres.
Yes. Chakotay actually graduated.
Yeah. Torres did not.
She dropped out after 2 years.
Yeah.
But she learned a lot of engineering stuff, it seems.
Yes. Yeah, she must have just been going to those classes.
But I mentioned the Latin being incorrect originally in TNG in the Academy logo. We actually, in the episode Non Sequitur, where Harry Kilm's in that altered time where he's still on Earth, and we see his apartment. We see his Starfleet Academy diploma, and the logo on there, Mike Okuda fixed the Latin ex estris scientia. So, from the stars knowledge. And also in Voyager, the cool thing is we see a recreation of the Academy grounds and even Boothby himself, but Species 8472. They rebuild the San Francisco Bay and the
Boothby.
Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, Boothby is so well known. They've even heard about him in fluidic space in another dimension.
And the overalls are spot on, and yeah, it's amazing.
They also mention in Voyager that Chakotay took boxing training from Boothby. So I thought he wasn't supposed to be a teacher; he's a groundskeeper. But I guess just in his free time, he also can help train you to.
Well, maybe
to
you
box.
take boxing training if you screw up one of his plants bad enough, then you have to get in the ring,
or he'll
sweat a
box
lot, and
you.
get
Yeah.
punched. Yeah.
Can't you see that's a flower bed?
He's kind of a Burgess Meredith-like character. So it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Rocky.
They wanted him to look like Mick from Rocky, and that.
Yeah, for sure.
The episode is actually called "The Fight" when Chakotay had to fight the alien Kid Chaos, but it it's actually I don't think it's that good of an episode. But I guess we get to see Boothby again.
It has some interesting things. But
Easily the weakest Boothby episode, but a Boothby episode nonetheless.
yeah.
I'd rather watch bad Boothby over good. I don't know. Something that isn't Star Trek. I'm normally happy when I'm watching Star Trek, unless it's Gul Dukat had an affair with Kira's mom. But other than that, I can get behind most of it. But I forgot that this came up in TNG, DS9, and Voyager. But all 3 of those shows have a young Starfleet hopeful, as they call them in Coming of Age, and then again later in Prodigy. There's a Starfleet hopeful taking the entrance exam to try to become a cadet at the Academy. We see Ichib taking his entrance exams in the Season 7 episode Imperfection. But that's pretty much all I got for the Academy and Voyager. Just like TNG, they do mention the Academy a lot. I mean, DS9 mentions the Academy a lot, but I guess not as often because half of those people aren't in Starfleet. But yeah,
Yeah.
TNG and Voyager, they just like Chakotay, B'Elanna, like they all just name drop the Academy
Yeah,
pretty
DS9 it
regularly.
follows certain storylines, dimensions more than Nog, obviously.
You know what's crazy about that is that in Star Trek Enterprise, guess how many times they mention Starfleet Academy in the dialogue
4.
in Enterprise?
I don't know. I'm guessing 4. There
Actually-
are 4 mentions.
You overguessed. It is
my
0. They never bring up Starfleet Academy and Enterprise. So I was thinking like, oh, Starfleet Academy must not exist yet because Enterprise takes place before 2261. So they all had to do their Starfleet training. They mentioned training a lot. They all had to do Starfleet training, but none of them went to like the actual academy with like a campus and like the like the Starfleet professors. Like they hadn't built that yet. There is no academy. Well, if you think that, you're wrong, because while they never mention an academy in dialogue, visually we do see another Starfleet Academy diploma in a dead ensign's quarters one time in the season 4 episode Shockwave Part 2, right? Or is that season? When is the second one with what's the World War II episode of Enterprise?
Oh, good God. The Enterprise names are... I struggle with a lot of...
Stormfront. I'm sorry. Okay,
There you go.
Stormfront Part. Okay, Shockwave Part 2 is
Yeah,
the
because
season
it's like a
2
Nazi
opener.
word, so it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Stormfront, yeah. And the Nazi episode of Star Trek Enterprise, and they have like Nazi flags like hanging on the White House. Like, so glad we don't have anyone like that anywhere near this nation's capital.
Cries in reality.
But yeah, so this is kind of a frustration for me because I feel like this writers on Star Trek Enterprise must have been like, okay, we're going to avoid mentioning the Academy because we don't want to deal with trying to explain why the Academy seems to be founded in 2261. But then the prop department and the art department, and those are the guys who I think would, if anyone was going to mess it up, it wouldn't be them. But then they do this Starfleet Academy diploma for Ensign Patricia F. O'Malley in Stormfront Part 2. So my theory on that, though, Joel, is this is my headcanon for y'all. And y'all let me know what you think. Is I think that there wasn't really a Starfleet Academy for most of the people in Enterprise. Like Trip and Archer and even like the younger ones like Travis and Hoshi. I don't think they ever mentioned the Academy. They mentioned going to school. They mentioned doing Starfleet training, but they never say Starfleet Academy. And I think it was just kind of a new, smaller thing. Like how we were saying how like right now, like not that many officers actually come out of like the United States Naval Academy. I think it was like that. Like they had just started like within like within like the last 10 years or so before Star Trek Enterprise, they started. We actually know that O'Malley entered the Academy in 2249. So like at least by then, but they had like some kind of like micro academy. And then when they form the Federation in 2261, they build like a new Starfleet Academy. That's my opinion.
Yeah, like they were pulling from other schools where people studied things that were useful, and then maybe they have small training for specific stuff for Starfleet. That makes sense. It would start that way.
And I think it was
I don't think Earth would have had just an equivalent to Starfleet Academy before they started sending the ships out.
Right.
It would have just been their universities that were still there and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we saw like Hoshi like teaching at other schools, like she was like a professor, but not at the academy, at like some school in Brazil, and
like Cake is saying, like reserve officer training,
right,
all over,
But there is clearly at least some people going to a Starfleet Academy in 2249. I assume
it's
Patricia
just that
O'Malley
Boothby's, who's very long lived his garage at this point. Boothby's Plants and Learning Academy.
Or maybe Boothby is kind of like the guy who made the sword for Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. It's like it's like his son is gonna look just like him and will carry on in his footsteps. It's like a generational thing of Boothbys, and they're just all named Boothby.
Or like some people speculate he's an Elorian, right? And then
I think he's just like a wise old human, though. I think he's just like a. I think he needs to be as mundane as possible to be the. I think that makes him cooler to be like this like really wise guy. But he's just like someone's like old uncle who like knows how to like take care of gardens and landscape and stuff. That's pretty much everything from all of Legacy Star Trek about Starfleet Academy. If we talk about modern Star Trek, let's start with Discovery, where we get to see Cadet Sylvia Tilly go from a cadet in season 1 of Discovery, and then by the end of Star Trek Discovery, we learned that in the 33rd century, she is the most tenured professor ever of all time.
Yes.
And also, like Nog, she seems to have spent her 4th year at the Academy. I think we can assume she was a 4-year student because there's 4 lines on her badge that she wears in season 1. Same one that Uhura wears in season 1 of Strange New Worlds. So I just always took it to mean that. But
that would make sense. But
the same way that Nog was kind of interning on DS9, Tilly was doing that on Disco. We see Uhura later do that on Enterprise, but Tilly more similar to Nog because they're both at wartime.
Yes. The Klingon War.
And then when they get back into the 32nd century, and they kind of resolve some of the burn issues when they discover the dilithium, and there's like that big effort in seasons 4 and 5 of Star Trek Discovery to reopen the Academy. They talk about like the Academy was shut down for 125 years, but there's still people in Starfleet. So there had to be a way to train these people. You do not have to have an Academy to have Starfleet.
Yeah. So there was obviously training going on. I always took it that they put them on ships much faster and did a lot there.
Yeah.
But they don't really go into that, but it would make sense post-burn when you really needed people to... Here's some learning to do in a classroom somewhere. Doesn't have to be all at once with everyone together. And then once you have that, or maybe you learned it doing something else, join Starfleet and you will learn on the job.
But in season 4, they open the season with like, the Academy is back, but it's like set on their Starfleet HQ station, I guess. Like in...
ship station thing.
Yeah. Like we see Tilly, working with cadets, and she seems to be based there when, season 4, she's off of Discovery. She like stays at HQ. And in season 5, the opening of season 5, we see she has quarters in the HQ. So like the Academy in seasons 4 and 5 of Disco is like part of their HQ space station. And so the thing with the TV show Star Trek Starfleet Academy, that will be the Academy returning back to its historical home, back on Earth at the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco Bay. Just kind of interesting. It would be cool, I guess, to be a student who was like one of the HQ students. Is like, oh yeah, there are only like 2 years of the Academy where they were like teaching us like that. But it's a lot of the stuff a lot of the setup for this new show seems to come from Discovery, and we'll see Tilly teaching in one episode of that show in the coming weeks. So, but an interesting thing in Discovery, the lead character Michael Burnham did not attend the Academy. If you recall, Joel, can you tell the class where Michael Burnham went to college?
The Vulcan Science Academy.
Yes.
So it was an academy, but not the Starfleet one.
But she was able to transfer in. So it's like if you have if you have the right credits and you probably take the certifications, you can become a commissioned officer of Starfleet.
Yes, it makes sense. Because if you're a human and can go to the Vulcan Science Academy, I mean, that's hard. So.
But we know that she still took the Kobayashi Maru because she talks to President Relic about taking the Kobayashi Maru. So like Saavik, she took it outside of the Academy, like as an officer.
Yeah, we never, on screen, we never hear. I guess Saavik could have gone to the Vulcan Science Academy.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, I don't think, if she was ever a cadet.
As a Vulcan, we don't know anything about that.
But we know that
she could have gone to either, like Spock, she could have gone to Starfleet.
But McCoy tells Saavik, you're looking at the only cadet to ever ace the Kobayashi Maru. He calls Kirk a cadet when he took it. So it was something that both cadets and officers both, I guess if you become an officer but you never took the Kobayashi Maru, they make you take it as a lieutenant or at some point if you're going to be on a command track. Kobayashi Maru's got to come up in the show though, right? Like, how could it not?
I can't believe they leave that on the table.
Like,
I mean, don't do a season-long arc on it, please. But but at least it has to be a B plot in one episode. You don't need to have it be the A plot, but
I mean, that's something like they covered in Prodigy before they got to their academy years. There's like something like
it'd be a funny
right
thing if it was just a recurring thing where one of the upperclassmen keeps flunking it or something.
And it's another crazy thing that, like, when you take the Kobayashi Maru, you don't know that it's a no-win scenario.
Yeah, you think you're supposed
like,
to be able to
beat
it.
So it's kind of weird that they can keep that a secret for so long. It's almost kind of like oh, I had to go through that, so I'm gonna make everyone else go through it. But like they actually keep the secret. That's impressive that they could get everyone to keep the secret like that.
Yeah, it's it's just this weird sort of like everyone bonds over the theatrical experience of performing this test and said and sworn to secrecy, and they love it. And, strange theatrics of Starfleet Academy.
And don't ask me to try to explain that big tree in the season 3 episode People of Earth that Tilly is like, oh yeah, I used to like.
Boothby was so good. Trees look like that now.
The tree that they all love. They're like, oh yeah, I used to love like hanging out by this tree when I was studying at the academy. But if you look,
they all
like,
hug it.
if you look at where the tree is located when the camera zooms out in that episode, it's like okay, that's in the 32nd century. When we see Starfleet prior to that, when you see like the exact same location, I believe this is the north side of the San Francisco of the Golden Gate Bridge. This is like looking at the north of it. But you see where that tree is in Discovery, and then you see that like exact same area in Picard, in Star Trek Picard season 2. And there's no tree there. There's not even any ground there.
Years.
It's like it's still water. It's like they haven't like
bumming
built...
around Europe at that point. It's a teenage equivalent. I don't know.
Yeah, the tree moves. I guess they or maybe it's like a holograph. Maybe like the whole time it was just like a holographic tree that Tilly was hugging. She didn't even know it wasn't a real tree. She's like, oh look, like the tree I used to hang out under 900 years ago. It's like that ain't even like a real tree. It's just a hologram, fool.
Yeah,
I never thought of that, but I guess that's possible. We get to see a different side of Starfleet Academy in Star Trek Picard, though. Moving on to our next modern Trek show, Star Trek Picard. Elnor becomes the first Romulan cadet when Picard is Chancellor of the Academy. So the same role that Holly Hunter's character, is it Nala Aki or Ake?
Aki, I think.
Okay, Nala Aki.
Although, until the episodes come out and I see them a bunch, I will struggle.
So... she's going to be the new Chancellor. Picard was the Chancellor briefly in Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. In Season 3, they mention one line, a Chancellor Roll, who I guess took over after Picard left. But Picard as Chancellor, it almost seems like kind of more of like a ceremonial role. Like, he doesn't seem to like really like have to do much of like the day-to-day running the school. I kind of think like the Chancellor is just kind of like this... you know, like how like Ireland has like a president who doesn't really do much, but then they have like a prime minister who has to do all of the administrative stuff. So I think that's the Chancellor and like the superintendent, like the superintendent brand in the First Duty. Don't ask me what the hell a commandant does. I guess that's even like more specialized. But
it's kind of like high school in America. Like the vice principals do all the running of the school with the students, and the principal deals with everything outside the school, and kind of, I don't know.
But I suspect that Chancellor Nala Aki will be a lot more hands-on than Chancellor Picard was, because he was just kind of like retired admiral, just like I just like walk around and give advice to Elnor. I don't really have to do anything. It's kind of what it seemed like. I give speeches in the Disney concert hall.
My chancellorship is a lost cause because Elnor's here. So yeah.
If you were going to watch all of Star Trek in chronological order, though, it is kind of cool that we see we see kind of a dark day at the Academy in Star Trek Prodigy that we'll talk about in a moment, when the Mars attack happens.
Yes.
And it kind of seems like they're shutting down a lot of the Academy programs and stuff. But here in Picard season 2, after the stuff they deal with in season 1 with the Zot Vash and Starfleet's been infiltrated again. Was it conspiracy bugs? Was it changelings? Like, it was Romulans this time. But they resolve all of that until they get taken over by Borg in season 3. In season 2 of Picard, there's a brief window when no one has taken over Starfleet, and that's when you see a lot of cadets at the Academy, and then the big.
To be
speech
fair,
that
Starfleet
Picard
Academy,
gives.
they're taken over by different things. They don't repeat the same thing taking them over, but
Yeah, it still happens a lot. Eventually, though, by the time we get to the 32nd century with Discovery and Starfleet Academy, the show, hopefully they found a way to screen anyone trying to infiltrate Starfleet Command.
yeah, the psych test doesn't really seem to help. So I don't know what.
But it's cool to see the big Academy lecture hall, I guess, that Picard gives this speech in.
Yeah, no, it looked great.
And I'm saying, if you're going from in Prodigy, we have they're shutting down some of the Academy programs. It seems with the Prodigy kids at the end of that show, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But then it's cool to see here that I guess Picard as Chancellor at the Academy. It seems like it was a good time for the school.
Yeah.
And good for Eleanor to be the first full-blooded Romulan. They had to say the first full Romulan because of I don't know, Simon Tarsus maybe.
Yeah.
Because he did enter the
Savick,
Academy.
kind of, but not officially.
Yeah, we don't know if Savick is a full Vulcan or a half Romulan.
Not in official canon, no. But
I don't know. Where do you land on that, Joel? Do you like to think that she's Romulan, or do you just ignore that because it's? I
think
go either
it's
way.
interesting. Yeah, I think it works. What they did was just kind of ignore it, but it certainly works really well if she was too. Especially Allie in Star Trek 2, who's playing it that way, I think.
Yeah, and then when you get to Star Trek 3, Nimoy told Robin Curtis, just go full Vulcan.
Yeah. Well, maybe she was scared because Spock dies and stuff. So maybe, there's a way to make it work.
Yeah, she's got to suppress all of her emotions. She doesn't want to deal with her Spock grief. So
yeah. She can't be thinking about changing her hair anymore for Kirk. Can't do that.
But I think that works if she's half Romulan or not. So to me, it almost it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the end of Star Trek Picard, we see Jack Crusher seems to be fast-tracked onto the Enterprise G with the rank of ensign and no time at the Academy. So another example
Nepo
of
baby. Yeah.
Another officer who did not have to go to the Academy.
Yeah. Dad pulled some strings.
But I don't have much else to mention about the Academy in Star Trek Picard. Let's move on to the two additional animated shows we're going to talk about, starting with Lower Decks. In Star Trek Lower Decks, they're all pretty fresh out of the Academy, especially Tindy. The second scene of Lower Decks is Tindy walking off of the shuttle onto her first ship she's ever served on, the Cerritos. But they mentioned the Academy and stuff because it was fairly recent for all of them. I guess Mariner seems to be older, but we learned about her Academy stuff
Later. Yeah.
We learned that Rutherford, like how Layton in Deep Space Nine used Red Squad for some nefarious purposes, the Badmiral Buenamigo used this naughty cadet Rutherford before he had his brain injury and got his implant and became nice. But that was all part of Buenamigo's scheme to take over Starfleet with the Texas-class ships.
Yes.
So, some cool Academy lore. And then, of course, we learned that Mariner attended the Academy at the same time as the original Nova Squad in the first duty. And we get to see baby Mariner interact with Joshua Albert and Cadet Cito and Nick Locarno and Wesley Crusher. So that's cool to have that in the canon. And
And in animated form, you get to see the Academy. It's fun.
They do a really good job recreating the
Yeah.
Japanese gardens.
The shot. Yeah, it's the frame the same. And
Which I am under the impression was intended to make it look like it was on the south side of the Golden Gate Bridge, for anyone still trying to keep up with that, but I think it looks like it's on the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge. So this is more of like my theory. Like, I want the HQ on the south and the Academy on the north. So,
yeah, you can't see any hills. So
but the coolest thing about the Academy in Star Trek Lower Decks is they fixed what I was talking about with the NCO school. They give it a name, the Tech Services Academy on Mars, or the Technical Services Academy. So this makes it all make sense.
Yes.
This is what Tarsus went to after he dropped out of Starfleet Academy.
Yep.
And this is the academy that Dr. Bashir was talking about when he asked O'Brien,
Yes.
didn't you take temporal mechanics at the academy? He's talking about the Tech Services Academy on Mars. And then when O'Brien is complaining to Worf in Starship Down, he's telling him, well, my men didn't go to Starfleet Academy. He doesn't say it, but the next sentence would be, they went to the Tech Services Academy on Mars. So thank you, Lower Decks, you fixed it. You
As
also,
always, Lower Decks fixes it.
even though at the same time you kind of muddy the waters with what are the role of non-enlisted personnel in Starfleet.
One thing at a time. They got to fix one thing at a time. They can't do it all at once.
And they also have cadets on the Cerritos. You only see it, I think, 3 times, but there are cadets, and they have kind of a cool uniform.
Yeah.
The black and gray. It's similar to what Wesley wore in
Yeah, it's
season 2
similar.
of TNG.
And the Prodigy one is same colors.
Yeah, but I like it. I would go as far to say that the Lower Decks cadet uniform is my favorite cadet uniform. It's simple. It just
Very
looks like a cadet. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you're a cadet. You're gray because you don't have your division color yet. You're a cadet. You have to earn your color.
Yes. Start out like Dr. Chaotica, black and white.
Monochromatic on day 1. You gotta evolve to the color level. That's all I got on Lower Decks, though. Let's talk about Prodigy.
Okay.
So the entire second season of Star Trek Prodigy is largely about getting into the Academy. They spend season 1 trying to make it to Earth, and they actually arrive in San Francisco Bay at the end of season 1, and they see Starfleet HQ, they see the Academy, and then they spend season 2 trying to become students there. So this is very much pulling from what we learned in the TNG episode Coming of Age, as far as like the Academy hopefuls applying for the Academy and taking the test and training and testing and trying to get the acceptance. So, cool behind the scenes thing. Originally, the characters of Star Trek Prodigy were going to just become cadets at the Academy, and the show would become an Academy show. But then they were also trying to develop a live-action Academy show, which is... all of Prodigy came and went before this show actually came out. You know, they were cooking the Academy show for a long time.
It's been on that burner a long... Yeah.
I liked this more instead because, as like they mention in the episodes, Admiral Janeway says to the Prodigy kids, like, it wouldn't be fair to all the other students trying to get into the Academy if we let y'all cut the line. Even though Jack Crusher can cut the line of the entire Academy and just go straight to being an ensign on the Enterprise. It's like, oh, this show is a little bit better. We don't do that.
Janeway doesn't do that, though. You know, Janeway is by the book.
I think that was good writing, though. I think it makes more sense in universe that they... Yeah. Well, I say that, but then, you know, at the end of the series, they kind of get to be... They get, like, the Wesley Crusher and Menage a Troy treatment, and Janeway just makes
cadets
them...
that aren't cadets. And,
field commission ensigns. But before we get there, though, we see them interact with a new Nova Squad, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
This Nova Squad that... Majel comes from, our Vulcan girl who ends up becoming one of the main Prodigy kids. They were also hopeful. So they're not like the like the flight team at the academy, but they're just that's kind of a weird name that they would choose to like call themselves Nova Squad, but
they're still into piloting.
yeah.
And
They're like, we're gonna redeem it. We're gonna save the brand.
yeah.
And then Nick Locarno will tarnish it again when he does the Nova Fleet in Lower Decks.
Nick. Yeah.
It's also interesting to me that the Nova Squad hopefuls that we see in Prodigy, they have the kind of sideways Delta logo that Red Squadron had. So it's like they're pulling from both Nova Squad and Red Squadron. It's like, kids, no, that's a recipe for disaster. Things didn't work out for either one of those squads. Well, we get the Voyager A in Prodigy Season 2, which is my preferred Voyager. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but unlike Carol Freeman, I like it when ships come out of dry dock looking all sovereign-y. But the Voyager A seems like it was intended to be a training ship. Like, they talk about there being, like, classrooms on board, and... again, like how we know the Athena will be in the Academy show, and previously what we saw with the Valiant and, you know, the Class J ship mentioned in TOS, there's these multiple examples of cadet ships or training ships. And then what they end up doing at the end of Prodigy, where, you know, after the Mars disaster we learn about in Picard, when that happens, and they have like this really dark moment at the Academy when like the news breaks, and it's like it was honestly like, you know, kids reacting to it made me think about like when I was in high school and 9/11 happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I could also see it as you know, like people reacting to like a mass shooting. You know, like this android went crazy and murdered everyone, and then all these other androids went crazy and murdered everyone. But yeah, like this news hit, and you know, they cancel class for the rest of the day, or like, I don't know, maybe like the rest of the week, or who knows. In that episode of Prodigy at the very end, Ouroboros Part 2. But then after that, the beauty is that Janeway says like, okay, well, we're scaling back some of our training programs, but we already had this new Protostar class ship, so we're just going to make all of y'all field commission ensigns and just give you the ship to go out and do good, while Starfleet enters this dark period where we're not going to be as involved in exploration and diplomacy. At least Dal RL and Gwendala and Rocktalk and Murph and Jenkumpog will be out there making a difference. And Majel and Bribble. So yeah, they didn't get to skip the line, but then at the end they kind of did anyways. But I understand Janeway's choices both times.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Prodigy really writes Janeway. It works 100%.
Yeah.
Everything she does.
Prodigy is just like really well written. It's the most consistently well written Star Trek show probably ever.
I think so.
Certainly of the modern times. It's the only. I'll say this: it's the only Star Trek show. I never watched an episode of Prodigy and was like, "Oh, that was a disappointing episode." Never happened.
Or they forgot that? No, they didn't. They did not forget.
Yeah, a lot of Prodigy love on this show,
and we get some professors too. And we get Dr. Aaron McDonald teaching temporal mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is also where the Doctor,
the other Doctor,
he gets his feet wet handling cadets.
Yes.
And that will become a big part of his life later on.
Yes, much later. Yeah.
In the new show that we start talking about next week's Starfleet Academy.
Indeed.
So I got seeing Bob Picardo sass these kids is a big highlight for that show.
Oh yes, the EMH is always a joy.
And he's teased that there are Doctor-centric episodes, so looking forward to getting to those.
Well, you don't have the AMH without a Doctor-centric episode.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you? So our next show we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds. We don't learn like a whole lot about the Academy, but there's like a few interesting facts. We know that Pike went to the Academy with Georgia. I guess we learned that in Discovery, actually. But his first job after the Academy, when he got out, his first assignment, Pike was a test pilot. And he spoke at Una's class about a test mission, and that's how they met and became friends. Eventually serve on the same ship together. But like I keep mentioning, we know that Pike is destined to sacrifice himself to save an old Class J ship used for training cadets while on inspection tour. That is his fate. So, yes. I guess Cadets Academy, all this stuff, pretty close to Pike's character.
We have a professor on the show too.
Palia was an instructor at the Academy. And through her, we learn about some of the other people's Academy experiences. Like, we know that Scotty was a great student. Himmer was just okay. And Una got her only C in Palia's class, right?
From her, yeah.
She was straight A's for everyone else.
She's still saucy about it.
Yep. Yeah, holding a grudge, like 20, 30 years later. But at some point, Mbenga interned on Vulcan and learned a lot of Vulcan medicine. We know that from the original series and Strange New Worlds. Both shows have mentioned it. So that could have been part... that could have been part of Mbenga's Academy training, was that, instead of interning on a ship, he, interned on a planet.
Which would make sense.
And we know that Chapel did not go to the Academy. She's part of the civilian exchange from Stanford Morehouse Epigenetic Project. So.
I know, it sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, I took it to be
always just epigenetics.
I thought it was I don't know, some type of research center or something.
It must be the place name, but
we know that she'll eventually become a full-time Starfleeter in the original series, because at some point she's going to lose contact with her loved Dr. Roger Corby, and she'll serve on the Enterprise to eventually, reconnect with him on XO3, where things do not go well.
Yes.
But Kirk will mention that he read about Dr. Corby's work at the Academy. Yes. So at some point prior to the events of Strange New Worlds, Roger Corby was already getting some papers published that the stack of book with legs at the Academy was reading about.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And I mentioned Pike being a test pilot. Cake is Eternal in the live audience is asking, was Captain Archer a test pilot also? And he sure was. He was the test pilot on that first Warp 4 ship that we see, the episode First Flight.
I could not remember that. They really like test pilots in fiction, though. They're always making people test pilots.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's kind of like that old romanticized
Green Lanterns. They're always test pilots.
That was the coolest thing, I guess. In the 50s
in the
and
50s,
60s, was a test pilot.
Yeah, breaking the sound barrier era, it was the sexiest thing.
I remember listening to an old radio interview with Jack Kirby from the late 80s, or might have been very early 90s, 91, and someone was asking him about Steve Rogers, Captain America, if he couldn't be a superhero anymore, what would he do, or just some weird question, and Jack Kirby was just he didn't sound like he put any thought into it. He's I don't know, he'd do something heroic. He'd be a test pilot. He'd be testing the latest aircrafts to make sure that they're safe. It's just yeah, it's just that old school 20th century brain. It's just a test pilot. That's just the coolest, manliest, machoist.
Yeah.
You got to be really tough, but also really smart and really cool headed, and just that does kind of sound like a cool personality, though. It's I guess you do have to have a lot of these cool traits and strengths to be a test pilot. But yeah, also kind of messed up all those NASA test pilots and everything. They recruited all these white boys, and it's all the American astronauts. It was all white boys for a long time.
Yeah.
And kind of that right side. And then today, there is a certain asshole recently in real life who would say man, sometimes I look at a black airplane pilot and I don't know if he's qualified. It makes me scared to get on a plane. But if you see that white confident guy, he's got the right stuff, that movie, The Right Stuff,
Yeah, but if you watch Woman in Motion,
you see there's a really cool documentary about Nichelle Nichols and the work that she did with NASA to try to correct that. So, good documentary. Check it out. That's about all the Academy stuff we have in Strange New Worlds, though. I know Palia as an instructor, as a regular on the show, is kind of cool, but the Academy really doesn't come up that much on the show. Then again, Strange New Worlds is only 30 episodes. It's one of the shortest Star Trek shows ever so far. It's only getting 16 more. So couldn't even make
One
it to
short
47.
Of glory. Yes.
Shame.
Shame on your house.
I don't really have anything else on Strange New Worlds to mention about the Academy. Joel, I don't know if you remember anything I'm forgetting.
Palia and Scotty are like the big injection later, and then...
Yeah, and I guess they maintained their kind of teacher-student relationship. Or at least from... I don't know if Scotty likes Palia, but Palia seems to have a soft spot for Scotty. I think Scotty would
nervous. I think he's nervous, because, she pushed him to do stuff well. Remember when she... lied about we have 10 seconds to get that operational, and it wasn't, and
she figures out that he does his best work under pressure. But that's not like a school thing. Like a lot of people, like a lot of students with ADHD will be like, I really struggle to pay attention to this until it's like last minute, and then like I'm forced to.
Then I can work for 40 hours, and
and I guess Scotty is like that. So cool. Maybe some neurospicy representation with Scott. I'd say he's ADHD coded, I guess.
Yeah,
is the conclusion we can come to. But I guess that brings us to our new show premiering Thursday, Star Trek Starfleet Academy, where the school will return to its iconic location by the Golden Gate Bridge at San Francisco Bay, or Horseshoe Bay, maybe it's supposed to be called. The Presidio, that's like the part on the south side of the Golden Gate Bridge. But I'm curious if they're going to make a big deal about that location. There's like a lot of history there. It's like Presidio, that was like the location of like an outpost of the Spanish Empire, and then it was Mexican territory, and then like United States had a military outpost there, and like San Francisco out on the coast and stuff. It's just, I don't know, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool to have a Star Trek show set in like a real place. Like you and I could like go get on an airplane and go to San Francisco and like walk around the Golden Gate Bridge and be like, oh yeah, this is where all those cadets are going to be learning from the Doctor and Holly Hunter. And
well, one of us has. I stayed at the hotel. But...
Oh yeah, we have both gone to San Francisco, and I did go to the bridge.
Yes, and
me and Taylor.
My flight was too early, so I just flew home.
But we'll go back there sometime.
We will next time.
We'll be like future place of where, I don't know, some of these Academy Sam and Genesis get in trouble, or like whatever happens. We'll be trying to figure out where those locations
in the future.
are.
Mariner will hate this bridge. That's
They never
we don't
shoot.
Even drive.
I guess outside of the voyage home, they never shoot San Francisco for San Francisco and Star Trek, because all the Academy stuff is going to be shot in Toronto.
Yeah.
And then almost all of the Berman era stuff was in
LA.
Los Angeles, and like Picard was in Los Angeles, where the Academy stuff was.
Yep.
So, but here's one thing I want to see in the Starfleet Academy show. Well, before I say that, Joel, I guess. Besides, like, the things we know were going to happen, I don't know, after we talk about, like, all this, like, lore of the Academy, I know that the 32nd century is going to be quite different from this other stuff, but is any of this, like, Academy stuff that you're hoping to see in the show?
I think, the Kobayashi Maru would be interesting, especially if they bring up, like, they stopped doing it at a certain point anyway, just in the long period of time. But they decide to re-bring it back now that they have Starfleet back, or something weird like that. It's just to bring stuff back, but it's not even just because of the burn. Stuff that fell along the wayside 200 years after TNG or something, and just it. And we got to find out about what's the weird squadron they have in this Starfleet Academy. It won't be Nova or Red. Maybe it'll be Mauve or something, and. And what nefarious thing are they up to?
But yeah, those elite squads may not work out well, but it does seem to
They're
be
good
like
for plots.
good recipe for drama on your TV show.
Yeah.
I will agree to that. You know what I'm wanting to see is some extracurricular activities, like all the college sports that they mention throughout Starfleet Academy or throughout Star Trek. But I wrote down some of them. So we know they have wrestling at the academy. Cisco was captain of the wrestling team. They have boxing. Chakotay boxed there. They have a decathlon. B'Elanna was on the decathlon team. They have
Marathons. Right.
Yeah, they have marathons. Picard won the marathon. They have Parisi's squares because we know there was that championship of 23-24 when the academy team beat the team from Minsk. And they have the Rigel Cup is some type of spacecraft competition that Nova Squad won, but also Pike won. When they showed like Pike's Academy record in Discovery, when he came to be substitute teacher Jellicoe style on Disco Season 2, he had the I think the Rigel Cup was listed there as something he had won. So they have ship racing, and the sport that Seven of Nine and Janeway played, where they had to shoot frisbees with phasers at Velocity. Harry Kim was captain of the Velocity team. Oh, I forgot one. The racquetball team from the Starfleet Academy Medical School. Dr. Julian Bashir was captain of the racquetball team.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So or racquetball
somehow they
team.
all learn how to play Domjot too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Maybe
you do
not
that, like,
maybe a
after
local
hours.
bar.
Yeah, you sneak off to Starbase Airport and have a few
that's where the
drinks,
famous one is. But yeah,
smack talk some Nausicaans. Or no, that's what you do right after you graduate from the academy when you're waiting for your first assignment. That's what you do. But that's I guess that'd be like my big ask. I want to see like I want to see the extracurricular. I want to see someone go to like racquetball practice or something. I don't know. Let's get some college sports in our Star Trek. But I think that'd be like a cool thing to bring back. That is one of the things they mention a lot about the academy is all the extracurricular
what would be the academy
activity.
mascot for their racquetball team?
That's a good question. I mean, like, we know that they compete with other teams.
Yeah,
It's like there's
yeah.
like the team from Minsk. I assume that would just be like another school, some other like college athletes. So, yeah, you would have like a team mascot. I don't know. The Beagles, the Admiral Archer prized Beagles. The Melanoid slime worms, named after Starfleet's greatest security officer
Benji's
ever.
right.
Murph.
The Salots, yeah, that would work.
The Starfleet Salots.
Yeah.
Or I guess there could be like different teams within the school competing against each other. It's like I'm on the Gorn team. I'm on the Horta team. I'm on the Magato team or something like that.
I'm on the Gumato team, so.
Oh yeah, slightly different. You just pronounce it different, but it's the same team. Confusing though to like write, but it is what it is. But that's everything I got to say about Starfleet Academy. I would encourage people out there though to comment and let us know what you're hoping to see in the Starfleet Academy show. And we might share some of your responses next week when we start talking about the Academy in full. Just a reminder to people that Rachel will be live Thursday, 7 p.m. Central with the First Reaction stream. We're going to be at a different time on Fridays. We're going to be at 5 p.m. Central on Fridays going forward. We're going to test that out for this season of Academy and see how that works out. So you can find us 5 p.m. Fridays. And Joel, people can see more of you in just a few minutes, right? You can tell us about that.
At 9 o'clock, head over to the Transporter Room channel here on YouTube. And you can watch me continue on my quest to finish the Enterprise D Legos.
Yeah. So
I'm on bag 11 of 30. It'll be number 5, show 5.
I think Chris from Trek Culture is here, so I don't know if he got a look at your star drive. But yeah, like everything but the saucer and the nacelles are built. So I think you're like
The saucer's very.
You're over halfway
I'm on
there.
Bag 11 of 30. So.
But it's gonna go faster, right? When you get to the saucer.
I heard
right?
the sauce was
Okay.
faster.
So
I'm currently
well,
on the stand, but
we were
and I
talking
think the
about.
nacelles are next. I have 3 minifigures unlocked: Wes, Bev, and Riker.
So tune into that at the transporter room. You might see more minifigs make appearances. And, we were talking about test pilots and NASA and stuff like that a lot while we were talking about these Starfleet cadets. So I'm just going to end the show by telling Joel good luck and Godspeed, the traditional NASA send-off as he continues his mission to build those bricks and construct his Lego Enterprise D.
That's right.
As for everyone else, we will see you next time. And until then, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.
Subscribe to YouTube to watch the Tex-Trek podcast live or listen to us later on your favorite podcast platform. Follow Stephen Fothery on socials at TXTrek. Thank you and take care.